And into the action we go on Dust2 here to kick us off of the night. And Nouns versus Disconnected. Starting things off with the CT side for Nouns and immediately starting things off with a B rush here potentially. Could get interesting, could get aggressive, could get quick. And they're going to move right on and doing the old Beyblade for Frankie. Trying to be tricky to hit, but Carson will nail one. Eris available for the trade. Carson still standing behind the big box. And there's our answer. Carson will be playing tonight and he will be finding two on that B bomb site.
That's exactly what we're looking for. bwills now fast on this flank. And what Cynic getting another kill. This 2v2 looks very doable.
Multiple shot. Like Cynic gonna dive through the smoke. Not quite able to find the second kill though. It's just Eris left last man standing and bwills able to clutch up. The perfect man for the job. And he will get the defuse off as well. Beautiful stuff coming through from bwills to close that one out. And yeah, you gotta say you're sorry for that one. A little bit brutal. Good retake nonetheless.
Yeah, that's not an easy situation to get yourself out of, but the trades were just so efficient there. Getting rid of just such a B rush this early on and just sets the tempo for Nouns, and it allows Disconnected to force that respect out immediately and say, hey, we got the bomb plan, but we still got to kind of hold our bearings here because we're not going to get into these bomb sites with cheeky tactics like that easily.
Yeah, I do, I like the idea, right, in some occasions, but Carson makes sure to punish that pretty nice by finding just 2 kills that weren't Frankie, so when you find 2 kills and they're not the guy jumping backwards at you, it's pretty easy to say that, you know, the numbers game's certainly going to favor you at the end. Still, though, you gotta get the job done, and bwills made certain of that fact here. Playing a pretty patient game here. Different approach on the hinge smoke, maybe. Still that same zoom, but not the same position that we usually see. Which is a bit interesting, but yeah, the goal accomplished. See if they can utilize that to get up catwalk. Right now, not so committed.
Looks like the scale up here is for Disconnected. With that bomb plant, they have 5 rifles on the board, surprisingly, but only 2 smokes. Probably going to be for the cross here. It's really how they're going to place this single flashbang from Eris and whether or not they can actually get some serious value out of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. You need some utility. I mean, already the hinge smoke from long kind of sold a decent little fake here. The cross made something successful. bwills going to get mollied out of position. He's in a no man's land right now, and they're already scaled up so quickly on towards the site. They overwhelm. Scout tags landing from 60 here and there. But do they really want to make an end for this? They've already punched in the numbers 4 on 5. I don't see a single kit left in these players on Nouns, so it's going to be incredibly tricky here. Jumping up 60, looking for some chance, some headshot, some avenue back into this round. But again, the longer they commit, the more they have to. Here, Swan able to pepper in some damage. Darty finds a kill as well. And at this point, you just want to get out of dodge. Cynic and Carson left last man standing, but they want nothing to do with this round. They won't be able to escape Darty's grasp.
Oh, I'll be honest, after that bomb plant went down and you just had to take stock of the amount of utility, or honestly lack thereof, on Nouns, it felt as though that they maybe should have just bailed out of that 4v5 and say, hey, let's swallow our pride here and give them the fight back so we can stay within this force buy war. But it isn't to be, and it's only Cynic staying alive with the A1S. And I was talking about the importance of that single flashbang, and it was so immaculate. Cynic, sorry, not Cynic, cxzi was completely flashed. bwills out in no man's land, and at that point, you just easily scale up long, and they're just abusing the side of the map early on.
Really promising on Dust2 of all maps. Oh my god, bwills finds 1, 2, not the third, but a lot of damage onto Eris. That is a fiery start right there. Exactly what they wanted to reply. bwills, he got caught off guard last time. He's not going to let that happen once again. Very nice double up there. It's still workable, though. The issue is they put all their eggs into this basket of long control right now. They don't have ground anywhere else. They have to make up for it here, and quickly moving in. They do have to make some tough decisions. Carson nails a beautiful scout shot. He's looking for more here. Misses on the follow-up. Silas down low, but he overcommits. And that's a chance back into this round here. Cynic getting up close and personal with the A1S. Could utilize maybe a boost to get into this round, but the smokes do enable the cross, and Molly's actually going to flush 60 out of position.
Oh, you needed a tag there if you were Carson there on the scout. And into the 2v2 we go. Again, no kits, no util, but Cynic is sliding up elevator.
Oh, that's so perfect. Cynic's just able to line up the last two right there. They were not ready for that push. There's only so much you can be ready for in those sort of positions. Maybe thought Cynic would have striked earlier as well, given 60's position. So weren't expecting of the CT play. But very, very good recovery from boys over at Nouns to quickly answer back. Sure, it's kind of facilitated by a little bit of bwills magic there with the 5-7, but I mean, whatever gets the job done.
It's so unlikely. That shot is so unlikely. And again, another bomb plant means, look, you've got the AWP out for Swan in round number 4. It's Silas with the Deagle, but hey, these Force by Wars, they have a bite to them. It's not necessarily complete pistols and pots and pans. They've got some moves.
Usually the bite comes back on the CT side as well. That's usually on the back foot of these Forced by Wars, so right now it could be putting them in a weird position, especially given this control towards long. They're trying to take it late, dodging up with the flashbangs, wisely so. Darty, he's calling in for support. They're all trying to push through the smoke. One more flash. Darty ducking out on that one. How much they want to commit? They're using all the utility. Back and forth they go. So much tension on this position, and finally they're just able to line up 2 kills. bwills, he does it again. I didn't know if he could keep it up, but he does certainly so. Direction goes on towards the B tunnels, but there's just a quick trade, and right now disconnected. They couldn't afford to lose that B prong of approach. They don't even have bomb towards A either, so problems seriously arising.
Lots of adaptation here from Nouns earlier on. They're not going to let them get long for free without taking other portions of the map. bwills striking back as well with a beautiful little 2-piece through the smoke. And I honestly thought the indecision might have costed them, but now it is disconnected, and only Swan with that AWP, and he just gets dunked on by bwills. Huge impact there from bwills.
Yeah, that's phenomenal, man. He's locking down this long side here. Oftentimes we talk about some of the other members. George has been hot in everyone's eyes at the moment as a very promising prospect here in the North American scene, given his performance at the RMR. You got cxzi on the op, you know, that we can usually talk to about his performance in playoffs of last season, but bwills is always that steady hand, I think, and certainly showing it right now when he holds down and multi-kills towards the long side, looking comfortable as ever on this map.
Yeah, having oh hold on, thought they just threw the Molotov on the B site, and George mops things up very cleanly. Cynic takes care of business in mid, and it's just Silas with this lowly little Glock.
Be around for too much longer, surely. Yeah, Carson cleans up quite nice, and that will be a promising start continuing here for the most part.
But yeah, bwills has gotten a lot of promotion from some of the biggest NA legends for a while now, with just the amount of stability that he has. He's been obviously a hot commodity throughout many of these top NA rosters, and slowly but surely he's finally found a proper home. And hopefully Nouns can continue to build upon it, make him a staple player, because he's definitely one of the more underrepresented players on the squad in terms of kind of just the amount of talk that he gets.
Yeah, I think that, if I'm not mistaken, Frag 17 was his first LAN, which is surprising given his long-standing nature. And then the RMR was the second, so he's had some big events up ahead of them and some impressive results in said events, that's for sure. So, still a player that's not necessarily young in his career, but is trying to establish himself. What is going on here?
Oh my god.
He just did so much damage. Frankie dead through the wall, and no reply. He caught him maybe trying to throw that hinge smoke. That is stunning stuff. And he's already done 40 on ESL as well. He's still looking to take more action. Not happy with just the damage confirmed. Once more. Pulling off this catwalk is going to be a tricky task, though. cxzi might need some help here. He's going to peek out. He needs to jump around the corner. He gets out safely. But he's had to fall off his position. Oh no, that molly's completely delayed them. I don't know. That was a T molly, it looked like.
Oh, this cat execute's going to get stalled. You have to get through full gray screen now.
Mr. Molly on site as well here. Oh, this is a disaster. cxzi able to step out for one. He doesn't get the second, though. The follow-up not quite there. The rotations, though, arriving onto the scene a little bit too quickly. And bwills, as we said, the steady hand here. He continues to hold a line, not allowing for them to cross. There's only 10 seconds left or so on the clock. And Silas, he looks like he might be out of the server right now, I'll be honest. But his teammate not able to do anything. I think Silas might have disconnected. Might get a tech here.
There it is. Yeah, that is just very unlucky. I mean, the timings of Nouns' utility there was just so much more efficient in that situation, and I think that gets being stalled out with having to go full gray screen is obviously going to cause him huge problems. It doesn't help that Silas disconnects, but it felt like Nouns kind of had their foothold on that round there in particular.
Yeah, it looked like they were already prepared for that defense for the most part, right? I mean, they had 2 players on site, or at least one on site, one on ramp. They had a 3rd player towards long ready to help out, and that maybe that molly that they threw as well was not quite helping them for sure. So
Yeah.
a lot of problems on that cat execute, but that's kind of what happens when you're getting kind of plucked apart towards middle and counter utility starts to head your way, panic sets in, and all of those executions that you're dry running in the practice servers don't necessarily mean anything at the end of the day. So a bit problematic, but we do kind of expect to see some of these growing pains from Disconnected. They are a relatively new team. I do believe that this might be one of their first matches with the roster changes, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right. Yeah, I think a big issue, you can totally see it, is just the depth and kind of how they're approaching the T side right now. It's a lot of take one part of the map, and just scale through it as much as possible. We'll throw a dry run execute from there and hope for the best. And sometimes the flashes don't even hit. Sometimes the shots don't, not necessarily, like the flight paths aren't necessarily come full together, and you can definitely see that there's big issues just with kind of the foundational aspects of this squad so far. And Nouns are capitalizing in full effect. Obviously, their individuals are very on board right now, but their protocols are just so much more efficient right now.
Yeah, I think the problem right now we're getting out of them is that we see a lot of the promise in that one round that they did win, where I feel like they were just able to take all the control that they wanted. They didn't really have a problem gathering any space, so they were able to scale up quickly towards long. They were able to get those cross smokes as soon as they wanted. They had that one flash. They really met 0 resistance up until that final execute point. Right now, they're meeting resistance every step of the way. And credit to Nouns for throwing that at them, and credit to bwills for being kind of the consistent opener here in a lot of these rounds as well. He's been delivering.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, if you have to talk about Disconnected, like, who do you exactly turn to in this situation? I'm always going to say you got to look to Swan. When this guy is actually on, he's unstoppable sometimes in the server. And I'm thinking that you got to have one of those newcomers actually step up as well. The more younger players who have been touted as the next up and coming in terms of tier 3 to tier 2 elevation. So players like Darty and Frankie. So I'm hoping that they can actually bounce back as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, we'll see if they can call upon Swan. We will be heading to a quick break. We'll be back once all these issues are sorted out, and we'll be ready to play on Dust2.
Back in the action. Now taking on Disconnected, and immediately cxzi and George out on the board immediately, bounding through Cat here, and bwills is telling none of it. Molly kill. They're just all over the map, Disconnected, and they're just getting picked apart here, Cole.
Yeah, quite an easy round as well. And back to back, we see some of the consistent rounds. Now it's starting to build up a good foundation at the moment. Some frustration probably kicking in the Disconnected camp, and I did take the time to look, and this is the debut for this team. So obviously there is going to be a lot of growing pains, some slight issues and errors that they have to iron out there, left over from some scrims, and this might actually even more so favor Nouns, right? We have yet to see this team in its full form very early on in its career, and that might offer up some struggles up against the namesake of Nouns.
Yeah, this is the time to just figure out what the identity of the team is going to be, how you guys want to operate moving forward with these new additions. It's going to be tough to kind of replicate the success of B-Hop now that you've gotten 2 new additions immediately out of the gates. But playing a seasoned team like Nouns is definitely going to allow you to develop faster and kind of try to accelerate that process by taking a look back at some of these matchups after they've actually occurred.
I think he might get him on the fadeaway there. George getting set up with some old flashbangs, but he is going to fall off there eventually. I don't know how he's getting away right now, George. What is the sort of Houdini act that he just put on right there? You got an op scoped in. He had 2 players under pass. None of them able to take him down at the moment. That is impressive stuff. He's going to go out for more? No way. No, cxzi collects him straight to the smoke. I don't know what is going on. cxzi able to pluck one out of the server. George still hanging around here. Flash goes in. That is perfect setup from bwills. Not only does he find the openers, but he sets his teammates up for as well. And this looks like they're just looking to drive the nail home here. No one towards long, but this angling card is going to be incredibly tricky to deal with.
Oh my goodness. I mean, just the reliance on your teammates and the belief that there's a couple players down and lower. I mean, George does so well. And now it's again just Swan alone.
He's having some fun. Maybe not so much fun, more so getting run down by 4 Nouns players. That's not too fun, I can imagine. But that's a really cool setup. Like you said, man, they have the flashbangs, they have the utility, they have everything right now. And I think that they quickly learn their lesson. Disconnected, if you give them too much room, if you allow them to get comfortable and plant their feet for an execute, yeah, you're probably going to get punished. But if you constantly throw some of this haywire aggression and, they do have the utility to back it up. So, for what it's worth, it's not too insane. It's just straight protocols, utility. So you might be able to allow yourself to set things up quite nicely, and they do fall back. That molly perfectly placed to buy time here towards middle, because it looked like George was getting a little too comfortable in his position.
Yeah, you make a great point. I mean, underdogs in general, you don't want to allow them to play their game, even at the very top of the game. It's been a huge issue when you think about teams like Cloud9 when they played Imperial way back at the Antwerp major, and when they lost. That was particularly because they just allowed Imperial to play their own game, and Nouns are just learning from that, trying to stick it to them. ESL does take things back, but bwills with a meaty grenade.
Yeah, that's a great HE right there. Now, they are going to make their way up catwalk. Cynic doesn't look like he's heard any of that. He does have an A1, taking a lot of damage, so he's plucks one head out, looking for a couple more. Numbers start to get punched in, though. No boost being assembled, no jump spotting from George. No funny business, essentially. It's all strictly business here. Still, though, catwalk is held on to. There's no one retaking up catwalk as well, and Carson's pretty slow about this one. George in no man's land. Cynic is starting plucking them heads, but this is what George does best, man. His mechanics are so sharp. He finds all 3 kills to finish and makes things nice and tidy at the end of the day. It's still a bomb plant, but disconnected. They need some rounds.
Oh, that's just gorgeous there from George. Even with the double swing from Disconnected, that's one of the hardest ones to transfer immediately like that, and he just did it so sublimely. 12 and 2, 9 rounds deep. And both him and bwills, the A side is just not working for Disconnected right now. There is no room for them to breathe to get in or even to hold on to these sites, even if they do.
I mean, even when some things go right, there's still that reply. It seems. Systematic long control again, just not allowing for any sort of space to be taken. Disconnected here. Just staying in their face right now. cxzi taking a deep angle towards middle. Covering a lot of ground. Very committed. He's watching high and low, which I absolutely love. That's the sort of option this guy's going to go for. It's a little bit different than Cynic. I think Cynic's much more cerebral. cxzi uses some of that brawn. That's why I kind of like the value out of him. You know, more impactful in the early round. Cynic, he's really impactful in the late. But I think Cynic actually, with the rifles, has also been sent in as a more, you know, early round player, and it's really allowed for this peak to be so good.
Yeah, you've got that beautiful blend of brains and brawn, as you're saying, and it's certainly been working. The long pop here, George being called up to task here. And he gets one. That's still very big to control long here. The flashes are so good.
Wills quickly trades things out, but that site is going to be claimed very soon. Now I'm looking at the utility, and I only see a singular smoke. That's not enough to get across safely, at the very least. That smoke's thrown in. It's going to leave some gaps here, and you do not want to try and cross out. And cxzi scope, yeah, that's what's going to happen. They have to sacrifice a player. They have to sacrifice two, as Carson's already made his way up the catwalk here. 1v3 Ash with Darty. Looking to bring some of that experience in for the roster here. He has to show up big time now. They want to get themselves this round, and they're closing in a little too quickly for my liking. On towards barrels. Yeah, bwills just going to spray him down. Wasn't able to take any isolated angles. No isolated fights, and up to 9 there off the quick retake.
Again, that long crunch there from Nouns. You have George in the pit. As soon as he gets that first kill, the flashes are perfectly placed. Although there was a little bit of team flashing here or there to just kind of dissuade some of the vision. The idea there from Nouns was very, very efficient, and to get the job done to at least keep the man-even situation once the bomb goes down. And the retake, again, has just been really, really crisp here from the CT side. And again, just one round on the board for Disconnected at this point. Swan does get his AWP out, but with how stable cxzi is right now, it's going to be hard to kind of break that tempo.
Yeah, the one round that they got as well just looked so good. It looked so promising. It's just the adaptation has been tenfold what Disconnected would have been able to throw out. cxzi, again, taking every last angle of approach here. I think he's gotten some very unfortunate timing right now. And Swan should have his number. Jumping out is not safe at all. He has to do the old duck and cover. He won't be able to get out of dodge.
It's a bit odd there. You'd expect for cxzi to not jump in that situation, but he gets away with it. Right there from bwills. The protocols and the chemistry here between the two is just sublime. But they are out long, and George has to be aware of this.
Certainly is. Cynic seemingly aware as well here. And both watching angles right now. You need a flashbang to turn this quarter, but they're going to try peek it. Oh, they do. It is a 1-for-1 trade. Cynic goes down, but Airs trades out. They don't have catwalk here. And again, you're looking at the utility. This time there is 2 smokes, but they've lost another player on catwalk. Their cat lurk has been taken care of here. And cxzi making sure to not extend any chances. All he needs to do is play a little bit of coverage at the moment. Last smoke expended. No, hold that thought. There is one on Swamp. But they are getting peppered on through the smoke. They're trying to cut him up here.
And how they're going to try to desperately plant here. cxzi pulls out the knife. He right-clicks, no less. And he gets rewarded. Swan dies after time.
No.
$100 in the bank account. And another fantastic round there from Nouns. 10-1. Double digits, 11 rounds deep, Cole. Look at the kill matrix. 14-3 on George, 14-2 on bwills. Cynic with the cool 10-4 as well. This is just marvelous. It's every win condition that you would want from Nouns to activate this early on in this series.
Yeah, it's really nice because not only are some of your early access. A player's finding all of the kills, but also George has been cleaning up a lot of these rounds. Once he has to rotate in towards B, he is stepping up to the plate. He is delivering in some of the retake scenarios where usually you would just expect your B anchor not to really do too much and not really have too much impact. That's kind of Carson's role. George is stepping up here. A little bit of mistiming on that flashbang, but again, you see the promise and the ideas. They're constantly trying to get in their face every last angle. If there's anything that they can peek, they will.
And again, it causes so much disarray into the disconnected camp. They throw these double smokes in the mid, but the real hits come through time.
Walk into the meat grinder as well. Carson gonna mop up 2 kills. They have all the coverage in the world towards the middle here. As you can see, Carson just immediately diving. That is George diving through the smoke. But they're just trying to press the issue here. Every last approach. Cynic, as soon as he feels like there's a timing that he can slip through long, once they hear that B execute, all those resources spent, he knows he has a gap here. Does he hear the footsteps towards long? He does, and that's going to be even further damage. Okay, a little bit messy. But the job completed nonetheless, and as soon as they feel like B's open, they push towards B, so they know the last player, Frankie, he is in no man's land. Spotted out as well. There's only so much you can do, my friend. We'll be able to drop the out. No, not quite. 60 down to 11. Can't contain, and there you go, man. They just take the lead up to 10.
11. And, oh yeah, I guess you could say the round difference being 10. But look at how flush with cash Nouns is at this point. Almost maxed out on 3 of these players. This is just nightmare fuel if you're a disconnected fan. 3 rounds to play with, and basically Nouns can do whatever they please. They'll have money to buy for all 3 of those rounds. And with that, just causes an extra cause for concern. They're leaning a little bit more heavily to the B side of things this time around, taking lower control. And with long being in their grasp, Nouns, they have a little bit more to kind of move around their rotations. And cxzi capitalizes with another opening.
That's bomb dropped right plop down in the middle of mid. That's not where you want it. And oh my goodness. You're right, they can do whatever they want because they're getting away with it every step of the way. Now, nice punish from Swan. It's short-lived. In fact, very short-lived. As immediately Carson and bwills, they crunch in on those players left standing here. I don't know if we're going to get any life out of Disconnected right now with how it's looking. Again, we can talk about maybe this map being a little bit more CT-sided in nature. Now with a couple of changes, but this just looks like it's systematic domination. I mean, again, the adaptation that they went through is telling mostly of how dominant Nouns are in this matchup.
As soon as they figured out long, it's just been so difficult for Disconnected to get stuck in. That's the type of stuff you need to get back into this round, though, if you're Disconnected. A stunning shot from Frankie to open things up, and now they go back in a mid, trying to rustle up some of these rotations. But with that being said, Nouns have cleared out upper, so there should be indication to these players on long that this A hit is coming.
Yeah, cxzi in prime position here with the AWP op and car. There's not much of a more iconic duo here, but he misses his shot, and now things become incredibly awkward here. He is committing. He's not falling off here. He has teammates moving up lower tunnels here. It does put a lot of pressure on Darty. What can he do with the Tech 9? They're on towards Xbox, stepping up. It's a beautiful shot. One, not the second, though. That's going to put a lot of pressure here. They're starting to collapse, though. They know that they have an opportunity, and in that, you're starting to see Frankie strike towards middle. George is in for a rude awakening. They have that flank taking place there as well. Swan finding kills. The long lurk just creating chaos and keeping people contained. And cxzi, try as you might. There's only so much you can do here. 1 kill confirmed. cxzi does find 1. Knows that there's another round to the corner here. Eris staying alive, though. That's all he needed to do. He didn't even peek out there. Probably won his teammates around without finding the kills, as Frankie was able to finish the job there that he started way earlier on in the round.
Yeah, getting unorthodox there were Disconnected. Pushing Cat like that in such a later round situation, especially with the bomb kind of halfway ticked, it's a huge risk, but it pays off in dividends. And finally, some of these individuals waking up for Disconnected and pushing Nouns in these rounds. A third would just be absolutely necessary if you want to talk legs, and they're out long immediately here, Cole.
Yeah, they are through the smoke. In fact, in your faces. Much as they can, bwills lands that transfer. That is insane. He has help, but cxzi missing some shots right now. He's not going to help out by any means here. It has only been bwills able to chirp up so far here. That's what could be a bit of a problem. Again, walking away with 3 rounds is going to allow you to do some damage here, potentially. But bwills has picked up the op that his teammate has dropped. Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
I thought that was a connection.
And with that flash up mid, Nouns have pulled up over another rotation. No aggression in B means that Disconnected can scale as they please. They're backing back into CT, maybe just waiting for this more of a 3v3 retake here from the CTs.
They do not have that follow-up smoke, though. That's always a big problem. Sending him straight through, though. The run boost. It's able to finish the job there in terms of getting site control. Now they just have to hold on to it here. And nade's going to go in towards site. I don't know if that's going to go deep enough. It does a little bit of damage on the Frankie. But not enough to deter him from getting off that bomb here. He is very isolated, though. He has little help from his teammate. Silas, that's the help that he needed, though. And SWAT able to step out for a kill, in fact. So, they're able to get themselves some good post plans, but they're peeking out a little bit early. They overplayed their hand. Carson and George able to finish the job there. Those 2 B anchors that I said were doing such a good job at finishing these rounds. Do it again. We'll finish out the half here, 13-2. And we're back here. Second half of play here. We'll see if Disconnected can maybe start to connect in these rounds. Because that's what's needed the most. It's a bit bleak at the moment. There's not a lot of kills on the board for them. I mean, everyone below 7. Or 15 rounds deep now. About to be 16 here soon. As the kills start to fill the feed here. A lot of pressure on Silas, but he does have the right weapon for the job. And he will pluck George out of the server here as well.
Ooh, Eris on this quick flank. They've got to speed this up now. They got to get these quick kills on the side immediately.
Well, there it is. Yeah, they could not find the kills, and that's much more like it. It's exactly what the doctor ordered. Able to find all of those frags. Just buying enough time for those rotates. I think Silas finding that quick headshot just did so much. A little bit of dissuasion in towards that B-bomb site. But they kind of had to commit. They didn't have any ground elsewhere. So good stuff from Disconnected. That's exactly what they needed here. Of course, the force buys, even despite the bomb not going down, going to take place here. They're looking to fight things out. And Carson, it'll be worse for wear here.
Finally, a little bit more composure and chemistry from Disconnected that we were looking for. Stuff that was a prime component as to why B-Hop was such a deadly team in certain BO3 situations. And at this point, I'm very surprised Nouns would just take the more lax approach. This time it's Darty opening things up. And it should be easy to dispatch of this force buy and start to get at least a foothold with some reclaiming of the respect here.
Oh yeah, they're playing with fire though, sticking around on this catwalk for a little too long, but they do maintain the advantage and they don't drop any other players, so all is good. Right now, they're doing a good job of doing some damage here. Swan even following it up with a beautiful scout headshot onto George. And I feel like Disconnected looking to extend things just a little bit longer here. And honestly, I don't think Nouns is a team that has really nailed down the whole closing factor just yet. So maybe there's some life that we are yet to see from Disconnected.
Yeah, we talked about that Mythic series, very similar situation where they had a huge lead and just couldn't close, and they had to force it into a third. Even then, that map was also a nail biter. So far in the season, Nouns have certainly had their fair share of closing out issues. They send it through the Molotov on long, but even with the scaling, it should be easy breezy here for Disconnect to get their best. I say
yeah, maybe. It should be, in theory. That's maybe not always the case, though, when it comes to closing here. Cynic looking to pepper in some damage now. They have been able to cross with the bomb. That's actually so huge. Numbers getting punched in right now. There's still some more utility, in fact, quite a bit. 2 HEs still left on some of these players, so I don't think George is long for this world, to be honest, once those HEs start to head in towards site. We'll see how they get used. Flashman going to allow them to move on in here, fully blinding up bwills. And there's another HE. Yeah, that should finish the job out of George. Oh, he does find a kill, though. bwills is going to try and equalize before then. He's shown his face. He's shown his position. He will get overrun. There's the Glock, though. One and a deke as well on the Eris. There's no way. A kid. Eris grabs the AWS. Goodness me. There's plenty of time, but... oh, that is not the way you want to try and build up a foundation here on the CT side.
Oh, all those rebuys. My goodness. bwills doing some serious work with that picked up rifle. And it really got uncomfortable there. I was fearful that we would get a 1v2 Glock clutch of all things. And with the bomb plant, with all the kills that they got, cxzi gets his weapon of choice with armor as well, and full belt of utility across the board for Nouns. So Disconnected, they're really going to have to get their act together with how aggressive Eris is going early on.
And out though like a ghost. Able to get away. No trade available. Good information as to cxzi hanging about here, but he doesn't really fall off. I said out, but he sticks around in lower tunnels here for quite some time, in fact. I wonder if he's going to overstay his welcome or if he's able to extend this advantage up to 2. George tossing in a flashbang here to reclaim some of the space. Again, Eris is seriously put on notice, but he has support now in this occasion. Swap posted up with the AWP. And Eris just going to hold his ground. Set up all according to plan for Disconnected.
murder there, and Eris, he goes for even more. Now up long. This guy is just all across the map. And he's going to clear all of this side of the map, and they're going to know that we can send more B rotates in. Nouns have got to go.
Ooh, they missed the molly, but it's not the end of the world here. cxzi already killed out with the AWP. He has teammates arriving onto the scene, though. George plucks one out of the server. Frankie still sticking around for his car. That was unexpected. Cynic nails the transfer, but it is just George left standing. He's on 3 HP. He gets spammed through the smoke by Frankie's USP, and Eris, she just does all the work right there.
Yeah, key impact there. Some more of a bold play from them. You can start to see them get a little bit more confident in some of these plays that they're making. And it is helping dividends here for Disconnected. Still a long road ahead. Full loss bonus at a bomb plant does allow for an instant rebuy here for the T side. But there are some concessions. cxzi on a 10-9. Oh no. They're just in B. They're just in B.
Trying to believe them just a little bit, but these B rushes, these just fast-paced aggression. Now it's just a caution to the win some of these rounds, and it just gets the job done then and there. HE though, Darty might encourage him. Carson on the flank in CT spawn. Never mind, hold that thought. Carson looking to cut off there. Darty, you won't allow that. He has a kit, he has one flash, but that's it. George has just recycled the smoke in through doors. So getting a retake done in this round seems near impossible here. He has to clear the right corner. He has to bait out some shots here, spotting things out. George will just mow him down. There's a cost to all of those rounds being closed as well. It's only Swan with cash.
I think he's going to have to do a bit of dropping, but it looks like they're actually going to force around this AWP. Single stage loss bonus forces them and backs them into that corner. For that reason of keeping all those rounds close. As soon as Carson got that kill down suicide, it felt like it was over. They were just so worried about having to plug that hole that the B site was just completely compromised, and Nouns capitalized, just killing that solo B anchor. And now they can just slow things down immediately. Well, I say that, and now they're just out through the CT smoke.
I was trying to get away with it once again. Oh, what a clear from bwills. That one's a bit scary. Slowly walking in around that corner. It's always a risk, but it's a risk he's willing to take here, given bwills and how sharp he is today. It's no surprise that he's winning out on this duel. I feel like Swan, he got set up early here. He's got to find a way to be proactive. Man disadvantage. You got to take some risks with this op here. It's all entrusted in your hands. He will take the risk. He will try and fight up catwalk. He nails it. That's exactly what he needs.
Yeah. And now you have aggression here from Frankie. Another impactful Deagle headshot. bwills has got to turn things around, but Frankie again with another one. It's a longer nothing here for Nouns. But just 2 players up. This force buy might actually have some legs to it here, Cole.
Golly, Frankie. And Swan stepping up with the impact there. Didn't expect him to get 2 by any means. I thought he was going to just get caught with his knife out there. Molly is going to flush him out of position, but they've got all the rotations arriving onto the scene. Frankie's cleared out all the tunnels. Booze does get punished. Ooh. George with his last bullets. He finds the kill. Swan turning the corner. It's George in the clutch, and the chase is in, but Swan's using his USP. George to clutch things out, and this is exactly why everyone's hyping him up.
Oh, what a calamity there from Disconnected. But you gotta tip your hat to George. The way he just manhandled those angles. Crisp work on the A1S. Backs against the wall. Long scaling aplenty. And they get map point through some unlikely means. MP9s, 5.7s, and Deagles. All to write home about for the CTs to defend their honor. 15-6 here, Cole. And even where you could start writing silver linings about the Disconnected squad, it's just been ripped away.
This is a bit heartbreaking. Carson, oh yeah, he spotted him right there. I was surprised to see that angle work out, but it does look like that is the last straw for Nouns, ready to close things out. Frustrated with the little resurgence that Disconnected have gone with here. A couple of 16 rounds, they take place. Frankie gets some nice shots, sure, but that is just not enough to deal with the full force And now just throw it at the table.
And with that, it's just Darty Montana, alone with a single deagle and an absolute dream. And they've got all the positional understanding here to close this map out. And we're looking at a 16-6 victory on Disconnected's map pick. And that's it. That's all she wrote. We're going to go to a little bit of a break. And when we come back, we'll jump back in to see if Nouns can close it out in 2. We'll see you in a little bit.